Welcome to Intuitive Seek. My name is Mary Treen, and every week I aim to bring you a grounded approach to all things intuition. Through personal stories, experiences, and practices, offering energetic reflections to help you discover, connect, and fully realize how your unique power of intuition is your own greatest teacher. Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to June already. I always say it, but it is truest for June. Wow. The last 5 months sure ran by. But if I look back to January, so much has happened. So yeah, just a very interesting experience with time this year specifically. And I know that many people that I speak to are having kind of a similar experience. So yeah, if you are not alone. And how was the last half of May for you? For me, it was unexpected. So much came my way. I was very busy. And then I ended up having to have my top wisdom teeth taken out. Very unexpectedly. Went in for a cleaning, had to stay for a couple hours and left with bloody gauze in my mouth and 3 days where I couldn't chew or do anything really. I couldn't even focus on a show or reading. It was truly forced rest. And it was another one of those big lessons because maybe you've heard me say this before, but I don't believe that everything happens for a reason. But I do feel that one of our gifts as human beings is that we can find the meaning in what happens to us so that we can see maybe it happened for us. Not that it was meant to happen for us. We are able to make the meaning for ourselves, feel into it, intuit what our experiences are teaching us or showing us or guiding us to. And with my teeth right away, it's in my mouth and it feels like, oh, that feels like a lesson about my voice, my throat energy, chakra, however you like to say it. That has definitely been something that I have been focusing on for the last while, but definitely this year of really connecting to what I want to share, what I'm feeling called to share and teach and bring to you. And always it is something that I move through and then I am inspired to share what I learned with you. And it's something that works so beautifully with so many of us. And that's why podcasts are so amazing because we all have the opportunity to do that if we choose to, if we feel the call to. But we can have so many things in the way of that, of our fears of being seen, our limiting beliefs, our societal conditioning, our energy, what we have maybe inherited from our ancestors of keeping ourselves small and quiet and safe and protected. So when I learned that I had to get my top wisdom teeth out, which I'm 40 years old. You would think they would have been out already. But no, they were slightly impacted and they needed to be removed ASAP. And while I was there, I was amazed at how calm I was. I really saw the fruits of my labor of being able to connect to, the calm I have within, to ground into myself. And when there is something like that, where it's going to be painful and uncertain about exactly how long it's going to be and what it's going to feel like and how long the recovery will be, that was a perfect recipe for my anxiety and my energy to just move and spiral right out of me. But it didn't. I was really calm and grounded and grateful that they were able to do that for me and that I went and that I had the means to do it. And yeah, so many reasons. So definitely the recovery has been a little bit more frustrating because it took a little bit longer than I would have liked. But again, that is part of living in alignment, authentically, with clarity, consciously, whatever word, that's part of it, is that I have to trust the timing, that I had to reschedule things. I had to change my plans. I had to be present in a way that I hadn't in a long time. So, having said all of that, thank you for your patience with my podcast consistency. Thank you for being here for the energy impressions, even though my jaw is still a little bit sore. I really wanted to bring these to you because I felt inspired about the energy coming up this month. And yeah, I hope that you are doing well. And maybe this is a sign to go for a little cleaning, little checkup if you haven't in a while, because our teeth are so important, as we all know. But the exciting thing is that with that little bit of time where I really couldn't do anything, it made some space. I mean, I had literal physical space because of what was, taken out of my mouth, but it made space for me to feel and get excited and inspired about new episodes coming up. So I have all of these new ideas that I didn't have before. So get ready for a summer full of podcasts. And yeah, so many things. But before I get into those will come later in the month. Now, before I get into the energy impressions, I want to share that on June 13th, it's a Tuesday, I am going to be hosting a workshop, a free workshop for you to join. All you need is an internet connection and a device. You don't have to join live if you can't make it. It will still be very powerful in the replay, as always. But this is a workshop that I felt so inspired to do based on the energy of June, the energy that was moving through the end of May and what we are going to be moving through in June from what I feel. Because right now, and I'll get into it more in the energy impressions, but it is a time of change, a time of transition, more than it has been confronting us in a while. These are, changes that have been going on for a long time. But right now, it feels like we are in kind of a chaotic void, an energy of everything is kind of different, but nothing is certain. And I'm not sure if you resonate with that, but I definitely do. I know so many of my clients have, and a lot of my friends. So yeah, if you are feeling that, you are not alone. And what happens when we have this type of energy, which I'll go into more in the energy impressions, but what can happen is it tends to precede a new cycle, a new phase in our life, something new. And what happens when we are in this kind of in-between space is so much comes up, so many feelings, so many memories, ideas, emotions, all the things that maybe we weren't paying attention to before, and all the things that won't really serve us as we move into this next phase, this next cycle of our lives, creatively, in career, personally, in so many aspects of our lives, however you are resonating with it. So I was feeling this new energy kind of receiving a little bit more clarity for myself about where I am because I have been through this type of energy before. I recognize it. I find it familiar, but it doesn't make it any more or any less hard or challenging. I just have a way and all my tools and practices and exercises intuitively and with my energy healing practice that and all of my spiritual practices, I have ways to move through it so that it isn't so disorienting. So, what I wanted to bring to you was a workshop where you will learn how to build an intuitive bridge, connect to the pathway that is unique to you in your energy to your majestic heart space, to your majestic heart, to find and remember where that calm and clarity and connection you carry is within. And it's 90 minutes. It's going to be really lovely. Like I have such a beautiful feeling on how supportive it will be. And we're going to be doing some group energy healing to help clear away the old. We're going to do a beautiful guided journey where you will really find and connect and build that path, that bridge to your heart space, but also a way for you to connect to your own energy so that you really understand what is yours and what is not. And these are tools that you can carry for your lifetime. And I am very excited to bring it to you. So go to the show notes, click on the link. You can easily sign up. And yeah, I hope to see you there. And before we get into the energy impressions fully, I thought that just for a moment, whether you are walking or driving or doing your dishes or laundry, take a moment and just find your breath. Find your breath. Where is it? Is it really shallow? Were you maybe not even breathing? Where is your breath? Then let's take just a few breaths in and a few breaths out so that we can all feel into this energy of June. So take a nice deep breath through your nose and let that breath out through your mouth. And take another nice breath in through your nose and let that breath out. And one more breath through your nose and let that breath out. I like when I do those breaths. If it catches at the end, if I say let that breath out, to me, that actually is a sign that I'm getting more and more relaxed and my throat is more relaxed. So then my word kind of gets caught in the relaxation. So thank you for helping me get even more relaxed because that is, that is the place where I have the most clarity when I am going more slow, feeling relaxed, grounded in my energy. Yeah, that's where I thrive, but it is not my natural inclination immediately. I tend to go up where I need to be more grounded. So thank you. All right. So let's get into June 2023, the energy impression for the month ahead, helping you connect to your own intuition and receive more clarity. So hopefully we can navigate through the month with a little bit more ease. So for June, when I meditated on the energy, what we can kind of connect to and learn and focus on that will help us connect to our intuition and be guided by our inner guidance. What I really felt was that, and felt is underlined, because June is going to be really a spotlight for us to focus on how we're feeling. And that may seem kind of light or vague, but it's about our feelings. That's where our power will really lie, in not changing how we're feeling, not trying to understand or connect to the why, not dissecting, but accepting our feelings as a barometer for what we're moving through. Because in May, it really was that energy of, what did we allow out? What did we finally decide was ready to be released? If you remember, it was about, what have we been kind of preserving and keeping close to us that wasn't quite ready, wasn't prepared enough? Well, May, a lot of us opened that up, saw something new from ourselves that we shared with the world in small ways and large ways. But what can happen, and what did happen for me and many people that I spoke to, is that that is a way that we expand our energy, because we are allowing ourselves to be more of ourselves fully. We're opening up something that we were keeping for only ourselves. We started sharing it. And that is very expansive. But what happens sometimes when something is so expansive in our energy, then our energy needs to come back. It needs to contract a little. Sometimes that's in the form of a lot of fear and doubt and uncertainty and kind of stories that we've told ourselves and ideas about ourselves that we didn't even realize we were thinking or having. They kind of come to the forefront. And the energetics of that, the way I see it, is that that's kind of part of the sweeping away the debris of what we don't need anymore, so we can keep opening up. But when that happens, kind of the knee jerk is to close, to say, oh no, find the footing, find the really stable, secure place where we feel safe. But June is not going to bring, from what I feel, us to that safe place. It may even highlight where what did feel comfortable or familiar doesn't anymore. Where the things that used to make us feel good, that we used to go to in those times of uncertainty and doubt and fear, they just don't work anymore. And it feels like the energy that's supporting us to do that is by design, because June is a time where we are having opportunity to form the new foundation for our next phase and the next cycle that we're moving into. But we're not there yet. So we're in that in between. And the way for us to navigate that energy of in between, that kind of dark void energy, is to follow and recognize our feelings. Just like I said before, to really accept them and not try to make meaning out of it, but just allow those feelings to move. Because June does feel like it's going to have a lot of dichotomy, where one day you may feel really clear and really, on purpose and ready to go, and you know what to do, and there it is. And then all of a sudden, a day or two later, None of that is true anymore. You are totally untethered. Nothing is making sense. It's all confusing again. And then that can bring a lot of frustration and impatience. So there is this image that I have of this swan that was flying, and then it was making its descent and land into the pond or lake. And it was so kind of wobbly, and its feet were going kind of crazy, and its wings, and it seemed really chaotic. And was it even going to be able to land? Was it going to sink like right into the bottom? No, it got its feet into the water. It was still a little unsteady, flapping, making a lot of splashing, but then it's found its footing in the water. It found its footing gliding through the depth of that water. And then it kind of landed and was buoyant and comfortable and kind of still. And that is what June feels like. At the beginning of June, we are going to be feeling untethered like that. We are going to be feeling like we have nowhere to land and there's nothing solid and just the water. And water, in this case, really represents that emotional landscape that we have, our feelings. So if you can, just allow yourself to accept whatever you're feeling each day and find a way to feel as comfortable as you can in the feelings that you're having that day. Even if you're feeling a bit wonky and chaotic, and maybe you're even kicking a bit, but you'll find your space. You'll find your way. You'll find your flow. As long as you don't fight it. As long as you really take the invitation to just be in your emotional landscape. And maybe it will help to write about it. You can do voice notes about how you're feeling. But really not in, like I said, it's not in a dissecting way, but in a way that you can accept how you're feeling. And not even in a way of being guided by your feelings, but just bringing them with you. And if you haven't really done that before, just try. See what happens if you just accept how you're feeling each day. Because it's a little bit different than what we see in society, right? You're feeling tired. Here's, 5-step hack to not feel tired anymore. You're feeling sad. Here's, 5 reasons why you should never feel sad. You're feeling, frustrated. Here's 5 ways to untangle that frustration out of your energy. How about no hacks, no shortcuts? Just allow, accept. Be who you are each day, even if it's a different person. Because what it feels like in June is when we do that, when we're able to do that, that on its own is going to release what we don't need. Yeah, it's kind of like this metaphysical energetics that it feels like if we can accept and not dissect how we're feeling each day, each hour, then in turn, the things, the feelings that do not serve our mission, our purpose, let's be a little dramatic, our path of destiny, then they won't come with us to the next day. And of course, I'm not speaking of, clinical depression or anxiety or any kind of trauma or mental illness. No, this is, your common natural states of just moving through emotions. But if you're feeling like it isn't just kind of a natural moving through, not so much fun, like I spoke about, please reach out to your doctor, reach out to your therapist, and find that support. But if it really is about your intuition, your development, yourself being able to see and understand and take inspired action on what you want to do in so many different aspects and facets of your life, then the beginning of June, try your best to just stay with them. Imagine yourself as that swan who is finding its footing in the water, even though there isn't technically anything to stand on. Only move through. Because if we do that, what it feels like is by the end of the month, we will be in a different flow. We will have gained a certain amount of trust, kind of new depth, a new level of trust in ourselves, where we can feel anchored and grounded in a space of in between, in a space of a threshold where there is nothing to technically hold on to because so much is moving. But we can feel at home in ourselves. And that is the greatest gift. And one of the reasons why I'm doing that workshop. So another part of June and another animal that I felt kind of symbolized the energy of June was a turtle. And what do we know about turtles immediately? They go at their own pace. They are slow moving. They know how they need to go. They honor their pace. So it feels like this month you may have opportunities to honor your pace, where something, someone, some experience may happen in your month where you are being maybe challenged to move out of your pace, to do something faster, in a rush, not in the way that you need to make a decision quickly. You know what I'm talking about. So this month, another reminder to return to the slowness, to go slow where you can remember. And turtles also carry their home on their backs. Their shell is part of their body. And that feels like a reminder for us to pay attention to where our center is, to that home within. Do we have burdens or responsibilities that we're carrying that maybe make us not feel as safe to breathe and kind of relax because we need to do ... or we need to be there for ... Energetically, you can kind of feel into it as, what are you carrying that doesn't feel like home? That doesn't make you feel good or safe or protected? Because in this in-between and void energy, we're not going to find that as easily with our feet. So if you can feel it within, feel it in your energy, and release what you are carrying that is not, that will help you move through, to not get so caught up in what is not happening. Because that's another thing with the in-between energy. We can get impatient and frustrated because things aren't moving the way we want to. Things aren't coming together the way we want to. So another lovely lesson from the turtle: when you are getting impatient, frustrated, things aren't happening the way you want them to, things are not turning out the way you had planned, remember the turtle. Go slow. Return to your pace. Get still. Feel your feelings. And thinking of the turtle too, I do love the metaphor of, turtles have to leave the water and lay their eggs on the shore, on the ground. And so that feels very hopeful to me, that in June, we will kind of move out of the water, move out of that in-between void space, the deep feelings, the depth. We will move out. And we will have what we are meant to take action on, our eggs to be laid on the ground. We will have that space for them. We will come out of it. But it feels like the lesson may be we will only do that if we really pay attention to our rhythm, to where we are, how we're feeling, and how centered and grounded we can feel within. So there is this uncertain energy feeling for June. And if you are feeling that already, I will say it again, you are not alone at all. And, really feel into what I spoke about, see what resonates, what it reminds you of, how it can inspire you, how it can kind of pull a little bit more of your own intuitive guidance out. And it's always, if you feel called to, always a good idea to do a little journaling around June with these energy impressions. So some journal prompts that you can kind of take and try. You can write them down or speak it into a voice note or just kind of think about it while you're on a walk. But one of them would be with trusting the timing. How can you trust the timing just a little bit more? Maybe look back at when you did trust the timing, when maybe you were feeling impatient or frustrated about a time in your life. But then you trusted the timing and it worked out. Look back at the evidence. Do you have any? Allow yourself to remember. And another question that you can answer for yourself. What are you feeling called to step up to do? What is that thing in the back of your mind, that thing in your heart, in your solar plexus, in your stomach, that thing that you feel that when you see somebody else doing it, you feel maybe a pang of jealousy or maybe regret that you had lost the time. You missed your chance. What is that thing? Because if you trust the timing, whatever you're feeling called to do, you're right on time. You just have to trust it. And you have to feel it and be aware of it and accept it. And then once you move through this in-between kind of void energy, you will have so much more clarity around what steps to take afterward. So what are you feeling called to do? And in that same vein, is there something that you are really good at, that that you love to do, but you don't feel worthy enough to do it? Maybe you don't feel like it's part of your journey or for you or meant for you. Maybe it even feels like a pipe dream. If this is resonating with you, what is it? And how can you start doing it? And another soul inquiry journal prompt for June could be, how can you accept more support in your life? How can you open up to help even a little bit more? And if that feels incredibly hard to answer, then that's the one that you have to go to first. And try your best with all of these journal prompts, soul inquiries, however you want to call them. With all of them, don't judge. Try your best not to. Don't judge what comes when you ask these questions. The only right answer is the answer that comes. You're there doing the unveiling. You're opening up and looking and seeing. You're the one remembering. So trust what comes. And the last journal prompt, soul inquiry, that I felt really called to offer, and I'm excited to do it for myself too, is to write or speak a letter to yourself from your future self in October 31st. Let's do Halloween. Write a letter from your future self from October 31st, 2023, and tell yourself now everything that you need to know. And again, especially with this one, trust what comes. Make the space, set aside the time, and allow your intuition to guide you from your future self. It's a pretty beautiful exercise. And if it feels like it's resonating and you feel, oh, that might be interesting, then definitely do it. Well, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Intuitive Seek. I, as always, would love to hear if you resonated with the energy that I'm feeling and moving through for June. And if you have any thoughts or questions, please don't hesitate to send me a message through my website, treenlight.com, or my Instagram at treenlighthealing, TREENLIGHT. All the links are in the show notes, so very easy to find. And please, if you are feeling called, join me for my free workshop on June 13th to connect to and find and build that beautiful bridge to your majestic heart. And if you haven't already, I would love if you signed up for my newsletter where you get a bi-weekly intuitive update on the energy for 2 weeks ahead. And hugely appreciated if you subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And if you feel called to give some support, then please share this episode with a friend or leave a review. So thank you so much again. Be kind to yourself, and I'll talk to you soon.
Hi, Auntie Mary. I just wanted to say something very, very meaningful.